English Literature. Exploring themes in the life of Laetitia. Hello. This is Group 4 and we are doing Poverty, Hardship and Struggles. The persons in Group 4 are Michaela McCoy, Akida West, Siobhan Young and Matthew Codling, and I am your narrator, Miss Williams.
And I am your other narrator, Mr. Atkinson. But, let us first establish what poverty, hardship and struggle is. Poverty is the state of not having enough money to afford the basic needs. We will now demonstrate with a skit.
Could you spare me some change? It has been hard lately. I lost my job due to the pandemic, and that put me in a tight spot.
I don't have the money today. Please don't bother me.
I am so sorry.
Now leave me alone and go bother someone else. That was an example of poverty, and some people get treated badly because of their social status. In the book For the Life of Laetitia, this has been seen a lot. Laetitia, Anjani, Ma and Mammy Patsy are the main victims of poverty. We will now demonstrate the different key parts from the book using acts and scenes. Act 1, Scene 1. Theme: Poverty. Poverty neighbors experienced. Have you seen a car before? It is strange. We do not usually see cars around this area. Yes, it's true, never actually see one up close before. I heard it was Laetitia's father's car. Scene 2 shows how the neighbors behaved when they saw Laetitia's father's car. This means that they were so poor that they were unfamiliar with the car, because they lived in a rural area and cars don't usually drive through Suklal Trace, and nobody in the community that they know does not own a car, so they got curious. And I quote, "It was very strange to be going down Suklal Trace. People stopped whatever they were doing in their yards and peered at us." Act 1. Scene 2. Poverty Anjani went through. See a load, come buy fruits and vegetables. $50 a pound. In this scene, Anjani is seen selling fruits and vegetables from her house garden. She was selling in the market because she didn't have any money for bus fare to go to school. Act 1. Scene 3. Anjani, I can share with you. No, Lacey. No need, I soon get my books next week.
This scene represents the scene in the book For the Life of Laetitia, where Laetitia tried to share with Anjani, and Anjani declined and said, and I quote, "Now she was reluctant, even to share my textbooks in class, and kept saying that she was getting her own books next week." Act 1. Scene 4.
I am sorry for spilling the ink on your dress earlier today. It's alright, Anjani, I can change when I go home. The next day. I wonder why Anjani wore the same uniform today.
This scene shows a part from the book, which was when Anjani's pen spilled all over her, and Laetitia. Anjani only had one uniform and Laetitia realized that Anjani wore the same uniform the next day. Act 1. Scene 5.
Anjani, aren't you coming to physical education? I don't have my PE gear. I will still participate in PE though. What is happening in this scene is that Anjani didn't have a PE uniform. As you can see, it looks like she couldn't afford the uniform. Act 1, Scene 6. Person: Poverty Laetitia and Ma went through.
So you like plenty books in? Well, we will see what we can do. I have 1 or 2 books myself, you know. I like a little reading every now and then, you know. Although I wasn't so bright as you, I didn't get to pick to go to secondary school. I only make it to 7th standard. This scene was when Laetitia got picked up by her father to go and live in La Puerta with him. She was going with her father because she passed for a secondary school that was far from Suklal Trace, and it would cost a lot for bus fare to be going back and forth because they didn't have the money to send her. Act 1. Scene 7. Laetitia, look if you can find some customers to come and buy our goods. Alright, Ma. In this scene, Laetitia is seen with Ma selling products from their house garden also. They have to plant their crops and rear their livestock so that they can eat it and sell it to get money. Now that we have established what poverty is, and how poverty was seen in the book, For the Life of Laetitia, time to define struggle. Struggle is to make forceful or violent effort to get free of restraint or constriction. People who have went through struggle are Anjani, Mammy Patsy, Michael, Miss Velma, and Laetitia. Act 2. Scene 1. Michael's struggles. What is this word, Michael?
Ball?
Where I get this blockhead?
I'm sorry, Dad.
The word is bottle. Bottle. B-O-T-T-L-E. Bottle. You want to be a cane cutter, Ed?
Michael's struggle was reading. He couldn't read to save his own life. Mr. Cephas sat Michael down to let him go over his books, but it ended badly. He ended up being slapped in the back of his head whenever he got a question wrong, and he got called names such as blockhead and a good for nothing. And he was afraid of his father. Act 2. Scene 2. Miss Velma's struggles.
I want you make dinner now. I've been out all day and I am hungry now. And clean the house while you are at it. My friends are coming over, so you fix up yourself.
Okay, Orville. Miss Velma struggled to tell Mr. Cephas how she really feels. She feels used and she feels unappreciated, but she cannot say that, because Mr. Cephas is abusive and she doesn't want to get hurt. She often struggles to take care of herself considering that she has anemia. She is always working, or doing something around the house. Instead of resting, she is up and about the place taking care of the household. Act 2. Scene 3. Anjani's struggles. I have to walk to school every day with little money. My brothers don't want to give me money, but I want to become better than my mother, so I have to go to school. In this scene, the person that just spoke represented Anjani. This happened to Anjani because her family was not the richest, and she lived in Orange Hill, which was far from La Puerta Government Secondary School. She had to walk and then take the bus, which was not the best conditions. Act 2. Scene 4.
Anjani could hardly hold her head up. She seemed to be fighting sleep all day long. She would normally be absent from school just to help her mother work around the house and to take care of her siblings. She would often be behind in class and would struggle to keep up. That set her behind in almost every subject, and she failed her tests because of this. Act 2. Scene 5.
Thank you for helping me study, Laetitia. Anytime. But Lacey, I don't understand this part. It's okay. I will stay and help you understand it better.
What is happening in this scene is that Laetitia agreed to help Anjani study, but Anjani is frustrated because she can't understand the work Laetitia was trying to explain. Act 2. Scene 6. Laetitia's struggles. In class, Laetitia drew pictures in her book and kept glancing at the door. She was restless and anxious, unable to pay attention to the lesson. Anjani wasn't there, so she was struggling to pay attention in class because she was worried that something had happened to Anjani. Act 2. Scene 7.
I should not have tried to prove my point to Mr. Cephas by skipping classes, and I should have never joined Doreen Sandifer's gang. Laetitia tried to prove a point and to make Mr. Cephas suffer. Her plan was to purposefully skip classes and fail tests and to join Doreen Sandifer's gang, which she did, just to make Mr. Cephas suffer because he normally shows off Laetitia's good grades, so if she got bad grades she would embarrass him. In the end, Laetitia suffered, because she got a suspension for breaking the #1 rule of the school. Then she actually fell behind on her work. And now she was actually failing. Act 2. Scene 8.
You going to be a worthless woman? That is how your mother and grandmother bring you up? Look here, my house is not a hotel. You can't come here and lamb for the week, and then weekend you pick up yourself and you gone. I'm doing my duty to feed you and clothe you and see about your schooling. Not to send you joyriding up and down the country. And for me to feed you and clothe you, you will have to stay and give a hand in this household.
Mr. Cephas is pressuring Laetitia to help out around the house instead of him helping around the house. Mr. Cephas wants too much of Laetitia. Act 2. Scene 9. Mammy Patsy's struggles. It is hard to balance work and school. I cannot focus in classes. Well, at least Orville took Laetitia, so now I don't have to worry about her. This scene where Mammy Patsy sounds stressed is because she cannot balance work and school. She kinda feels better after though, because Laetitia is safe with Mr. Cephas.
Hardship. What is hardship? Hardship is the condition that causes difficulty or suffering. Laetitia, Anjani and Mammy Patsy went through hardship. Act 3. Scene 1. Hardships Laetitia went through.
My head now seemed to burst into pieces. and I started to scream. I screamed until I didn't have to think anymore, when everything went dark.
The following day.
Where am I? How did I reach here?
As you know, this is the scene after Anjani's death. This is when Laetitia found out, ran home, screamed till she passed out, and ended up in the hospital. She couldn't walk after she came out of the hospital though. They had to take her back to Untitled Chapter. Act 3. Scene 2.
Lacey, you ain't hear what happened. Anjani drink poison. I can't believe it. Anjani, dead? I had to head for the school gate. Anjani, dead? No. They are lying. It cannot be true.
That was another hardship she faced when Anjani died. She had committed suicide. Laetitia is still in disbelief. Act 3. Scene 3. Hardships Anjani went through.
Oh, I feel sick. I shouldn't have gone out to the market to sell.
Did you remember when Anjani went to the market to sell? She got sick and couldn't attend school for 2 days. Speaking of sick, Anjani was diagnosed with anemia. Her small, feeble body could not hold up for much longer, because she has been looking really pale lately. Well, Anjani being sick was a normal thing though. Anjani had to use the money she made from selling her goods to use as bus fare to go to school. Act 3. Scene 4. Hardships Mammy Patsy went through.
I want to work hard enough so that I can pay my school fee. Once I graduate school, I will get a better job to make more money so I can pack a barrel to send for the kids, and I want to send them some nice things. One day. Because right now, as soon as I get my pay, I have to use majority of it to pay off my school fee.
Do you know whom that is? Yes. It was Mammy Patsy. She had to go to America to live, to get a better life. She found a job as a janitor at a hospital, and now she is going to school to get a better education. She also has to send barrels occasionally to Ma and the kids. Her money is quite tight, which is why she cannot afford for Laetitia to travel from school to go to La Puerta Government Secondary School, which is far from Untitled Chapter. And that would result in more money to pay, which they do not have. This concludes this presentation.
Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.